I don't even know at this point, how many like stories or how many times have you been featured in some of the major fitness publications?
Yeah, I mean, I've been blessed. It's hard to say actually. I don't fully know. I think there's 18 to 20 plus different articles. Sometimes, Muscle and Fitness globally, I've been blessed to be with them, and so like, yeah, all over from from South Korea to Czech Republic, kind of. It's been a little bit of a fun thing, like traveling and seeing my articles randomly all over the globe. So I don't know fully. I know for sure about 18 features from Muscle Fitness, Muscle Insider, Train Magazine. So those type of things that are, and then they all have their own international versions. So yeah, I've been blessed with it. So
Yeah, so
yeah.
you're almost like syndicated, right? Nationally. I mean, I've been following you for a while now, and I've watched and seen, the like what fucking Matt's traveling first class to wear check? Like what's going on? Like, and it's always like, yeah, I'm just out here, having a beer and having a good time. And I imagine it's all very, it's all centered around that. And we're kind of laughing about it, but I also know it's very tough work. There's a lot of pressure there, and maybe we can dig into that a little bit. But so fitness has been a huge part of your life for a long time. It wasn't always, but you found your way into it and have certainly made it your own in a lot of ways, and also benefited by not just obviously the healthy lifestyle, but what the lifestyle and the culture and the community can provide. But I'm sure you have some insight on some of the not so great things that's also there too that we can dig into. You've got a history in politics, and I definitely want to talk about that. So we're gonna cover that as well. And you've had some within those sort of, I guess, experiences. I know there's been some influences for you. You've talked about them pretty openly, with what you can talk about for that matter. But some of those very influential people in the United States, in government, within politics, I guess, if you will, but just kind of what makes our country what it is. And I'm curious to dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Dude, where do you even want to start? I mean, there's so much.
Oh man. Well, I can start where I started.
Let's do that.
Okay, so grew up in Texas, obviously born in California, grew up in Texas. So that had we moved there. I should start. I lived in Japan for a little while too, early on. So having an international kind of background and appreciating other people's cultures was key for me. And I'm blessed to have my parents that allowed me to do that. So yeah, moved to Texas, grew up there. You know, Texas is a land of football rules, and if you don't play sports, you're kind of a dork, a geek. I did not play sports. I played soccer, but was not football.
Football is life there, man.
Football is God. Like, so that whole, Friday Night Lights is very true. It was based on Odessa Permian High School, and that's literally legit how Texas, lives and breathes, which is fine. It's just not
It wasn't you.
wasn't me. Yeah. So I was a skinny kid growing up. Even at 27, I was 135 pounds.
Okay, so I was just going to say, a lot of people say that I was a skinny kid growing up, but
No, I was like a skinny kid. Like I weighed 135, or maybe even like 120 pounds in high school. Yeah.
when you graduated,
maybe like 130. Yeah.
That's
My wrists were as big as my biceps. So
that's pretty skinny, man.
yeah. So, I mean, and I was like 6 foot with shoes on, 5'11".
Wow.
Yeah. So
Tall and lean.
yeah, it's very lean. My whole mom's side of the family is super
Okay.
lean. So I got those genes. But yeah, so that was my life. Obviously, I felt I was a different person on the inside. We can talk a little bit about that. But yeah, so grew up there, kind of obviously with that comes self-esteem issues, right? If people are calling you names, picking on you.
Yeah, man. Kids are fucking awful.
Yeah.
I mean, they're mean.
Yeah. Middle school.
So are adults.
Middle school was hell, but
That's the worst. Yeah.
adults are mean, but they like know it. I think kids are just fucking mean. Excuse my language.
Yeah. But
yeah.
they get it from mom and dad. I'm going to be honest about
That's
that.
probably true. Your upbringing. Yeah. But yeah. So grew up in Texas, did not play sports, was a band dork, as they called it, or a band geek. Played saxophone for 8 years. So yeah, totally different lifestyle. Then graduated from Baylor, got really involved at Baylor doing some crazy shit, which I don't even know if you know. I raised the Mascots, the Baylor Bears. So
okay, that's the answer to that question.
Yeah. So so the two bears that are actually at Baylor right now,
These are fucking bears. These are real bears.
North American black bears.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And they're
so
not small.
Joy and Lady, the two ones that I raised when I was this big, they're still there, 20 and 21 years old. So they're the longest running mascot, so to speak. I changed the program from a mascot program. They used to run on the field and I canceled all that shit and turned it into like an educational outreach program because it was a little bit more humane.
Okay, so I mean, you're down in Texas, and there's a lot of things going on in Texas, right? There's the Longhorns down there. Like you've got, well, let's just say that whole region generally. And if we had to take all the schools, the whether it's SEC or ACC schools or Big 10, Big 12, Big 12 schools, there's going to be several. There's going to be several like animal mascots, right? And a good amount of it's like livestock, right?
Yeah. Bevo, the cattle,
right,
the
right.
Longhorn.
So what's
they drug the hell out of it, but they don't admit it, so we won't go.
Yeah, first, well,
the pupils are like.
Well, that's what I was just about to ask you, I guess, with regard to like raising these animals. And bears are wild animals. I mean, by nature, right?
Yes. These animals are still wild. So yeah. So we were trained by an animal expert. My background a little bit. My mom worked at the San Antonio Zoo. So she worked in the education department. So I was working in the large mammals department as an intern with all the other bears. So I kind of had experience working with wild animals, obviously in captivity though. These two bears were completely from an animal farm, I guess you want to call it. Mm-hmm. But we got them at 6 months old and we were their mom and their dad. And yeah, it's through operant learning. It's a positive reinforcement learning. So we had free contact, which we call it, meaning I engage with them with no barrier. Okay. A lot of animals now are protective contact where you just feed them or you teach them commands that might help with, getting medical care, like opening their mouth wide or whatever. So the dentist can look at their teeth and stuff. So we taught those commands to them. It obviously had a benefit of like raising the paw for sick'em, which is the Baylor thing, or like opening their teeth to like pretend to roar because bears don't roar on command. All the movies, they're just giving them a wide command and they dub it in. Right. And so, yeah, so we did all that. Hell, they lived in my apartment for a short time when I was there when they were little kids. Yeah. So little bears. So yeah, I mean, it was a great life experience there. I spent 8 hours a day with them and went to school 8 hours. So it was a full-time job, not a regular college life. I did not drink alcohol. Right. The university president was calling me on a daily basis. So yeah, no, I had to be really kind of like on my game, but it was a great life experience. Then they're still the longest running mascots at Baylor. So I'm proud of that.
That's outstanding. So, I mean, there's the raising animals and then there's obviously like they have to show up for events. So are you there for all those events and all that stuff?
We used to travel for before I got Joy, who was my bear that I raised, and then Lady came after her. They're both sisters, but through different dads or whatever. But I had a larger bear, a 15-year-old bear named Billy. He was 510 pounds. He had been there for about 13 years at Baylor, one of the longest running. So he would be like kind of in the bear facility doing all like the meet and greets with people, the new students. Yep. And then we had another bear that would travel for the football games.
Gotcha.
I stopped the traveling after Chance was that bear. I stopped the traveling. So Joy and Lady, Joy went to a game or two, just sat on the sidelines and she did not run on the field or anything. And then I stopped that altogether. I just thought it was, not humane. Loud music, bands, people throwing crap at us. Out. Yeah. I mean, it's not their natural environment. So I think that if we had to have a live mascot and, before animal rights people go crazy, which probably had a valid reason to, I wanted to curve that before they shut down the whole thing and killed the tradition that had been around
altogether.
Yeah. So I turned it into more of an educational outreach program. We became a licensed Class C zoo, licensed by the USDA, Texas Parks and Wildlife. So it's actually a one exhibitor zoo. And now it became an actual accredited AZA they did just recently. So they're the only university mascot program that has an American Zoological Association credit. So that's super big for Baylor.
Man, that's awesome. I mean, you're doing all this before you're even 21 years old?
Yeah, I was 19 and 20.
So while all this is going on, what are you studying at Baylor?
I was pre-med for 2 years and then I, got my first C in life. And so I dropped it and went pre-business. And
just freaked out?
Yeah, I just freaked out. I never got a C. So, young person, you don't know how to handle that. And so, dropped that and then went into pre-business and did employment law, kind of focus on corporate comms and human resource management.
Okay, that makes sense to me given sort of what's going on now or what I've seen you do.